Do values have a role in leadership anymore? Our guest, George Limbert, says yes, and now more than ever. He discusses that in this episode. He brings those values as the head of our new innovative executive solutions service. Fractional executives deliver measurably higher performance across key business metrics: time to value, lower risk, and cost savings. Build your competitive advantage with innovative executive solutions while your competition burns dollars on executive search, high overhead, and performance risk. Contact us today for a free 30-minute consultation at www.bit.ly/executive solutions. That's bit.ly/E executive S solutions. Now, on to our episode to learn about values in leadership.
Welcome to Innovating Leadership, Co-Creating Our Future, where we explore cutting-edge ideas to help leaders thrive in a rapidly changing world. I'm your host, Maureen Metcalf, the CEO and founder of the Innovative Leadership Institute. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome George Limbert, who's stepping into an exciting new role for our institute. He'll be the president of Innovative Executive Solutions. George brings a unique philosophy grounded in judicial temperament, doing the right things, and helping leaders find their North Star. So, George, first, congratulations on your new role.
Thank you again, Maureen.
So let's jump to a little bit about your leadership philosophy. We interviewed you 3 times when you were running Red Roof. Now you're joining us. You bring that same level of rigorous thinking and do the right thing temperament to everything you've done. Can you talk a little bit about what is judicial temperament and what does that have to do with doing the right thing?
The way I've always viewed judicial temperament, and like we talked about in previous podcasts, I am the son of a federal magistrate judge. And so judicial temperament has been a big part of my upbringing, and it's something that I've been really trying to impart at the various companies that I've been at. And what it is the ability to really analyze problems and sort of look at them from a non-emotional perspective and look at them from a perspective of trying to solve and overcome those issues, but not allowing emotions to get to the top or rise to the top of the decision-making tree. Part of that's trying to lead the business to do the right thing. And what I always say is if you do the right thing, you never have to worry. If you do the right thing for the business, you don't have to worry about the business because the business is going to succeed. If you do the right thing for your people, you don't have to worry about your people because they know you're doing the right thing. They're going to respect you for that no matter what the right thing is. And sometimes the right thing isn't always the easiest thing. Sometimes those are the hard things to do. And sometimes it's really, really easy to do the wrong thing. And it's really, really hard to do the right thing. So sort of combining those two philosophies of do the right thing, judicial temperament has been very, very successful for me. And I'm excited to help that span across different industries because I can impart that wisdom on different companies and really see and feel the success of that.
One of the things I appreciate about you is you see things that I don't because of your legal training. There are also lots of things that are far more nuanced that you will see through a different lens than other executives.
By way of example, I think the best thing to talk about is how you handle your people. How do you handle your team members? And yes, there is a very rigid legal way to do that, but there's also a right way to do that. And they certainly intersect, but sometimes they go in opposite directions. And how you treat that team member, sure, you can turn over to the human resources department to do all sort of the termination of an employee and remove the human element from it. And that's maybe the legal thing to do, but is it the right thing, not only for that person who's departing, but also for the rest of your team and how they view how you as the leader handled that? So yes, having a legal background kind of helps you say, here is what the book, so to speak, the legal book, I don't know, so to speak, says for you to do, but here's the aspects that you should think about that could alleviate problems in the future. And based on my experience, here's where things go wrong if you sort of follow this rigidity that may not take into consideration the human element.
That dovetails really with the rate of change we're seeing right now. Employees have different expectations now. Again, back to nuanced. We really need to attend to the environment we're creating and the commitment and the sense of security as folks are worrying about losing their jobs to AI and the number of fears that people have at this point. Building trusts is crucial.
It's key, and communication's a huge piece of that puzzle as well. And constant communication with your team members, constantly trying to figure out what keeps them going, what lights them up, what motivates them to do the right thing, and guiding them to that. And the other thing I think about too is I think you've heard me say it on this podcast. I was running a hotel brand during COVID. And what I tell people is if you weren't on the front lines battling COVID in the hospitality industry, if you were at home sitting in your kitchen, you were obsolete. The industry changed overnight. You were obsolete. And we are all living with sort of what changed during COVID. And then, before we could even catch our breath, we get hit with this AI revolution. The good that came out of COVID is a lot of the transformation stuff. I think that AI is exciting in a lot of wonderful ways, but to your point, it's exceptionally scary to your team. And the importance of communication just comes full circle in that moment because you have to be able to constantly communicate to your team as to how you're evolving as a business. Whether you're trying to fight the come back to the office situation that's maybe still lingering out there, whether you're trying to get your team members to fully embrace AI to make their lives more efficient. We're living in a very uncertain world, and the best way to sort of help ease the tension of your team is to constantly and effectively communicate with them.
Yeah, I was with a group of mid-tier technology leaders this morning. Many organizations just hit their return to the office full time. It looked like about a third of the folks were mandated to be back full time. There was a lot of resentment. The hybrid 3 days a week people seemed fine. I have to be back in the office full time, lots of anger and resentment that we were able to do this remotely and we did it effectively and we were really productive. And now you're telling us we can't work from home. It seems like in the US, the entire attitude about the workplace is changing from during COVID, it was hard to find workers. Now it's hard to find jobs. And the culture has shifted, not just the availability of jobs.
For sure. I'm already seeing folks that are opting out of their current jobs because of the requirement to return to the work office or the office. Couple that with the uncertainty of the job market. I mean, we're seeing tons of people that are, open to work. It's an interesting problem and juxtaposition. And really that's where culture building and doing the right thing for your team and for your company comes into play. A mandated return to the office is maybe not always the best solution. And I get if there's competition amongst departments. Well, if the technology department gets to stay home, why doesn't the finance department get to stay home or those kind of things? It's really about building your culture. And it doesn't just come because you give free lunch or give them a lunch or pay for their lunch or anything like that. I mean, you really have to dig into the mindset of the employee and understand what is it about the work from home that was making them so successful? What is it about the work from home that makes them want it so badly? And how do you comfort your shareholders or how do you comfort your owners in the sense that they're actually working when they're home as well? Again, it comes with communication, feedback from your employees, understanding their sentiment, understanding where they're coming from, and trying to sort of meet them where they are and also help them do the right thing for the business.
And as you've said, it's a complex equation. Ensuring that you're getting the level of work you're paying for is a fiduciary responsibility. But watching my fanny sit in a chair doesn't mean I'm actually doing the work you're paying me to do versus my Amazon shopping or playing Angry Birds or something on my laptop.
And this is the problem. I mean, we talk about all the change that occurred with COVID and all the change that's occurring now with AI. The problem that this is a result of is not from any of those things. It's a failure to manage. And the failure to manage people has been the issue from day one. If you're an effective manager, if you're a good leader and you're exhibiting good leadership skills, then you shouldn't have a problem understanding the productivity of your team at any moment, whether they're sitting right next to you or whether they're remote. That's really the problem. And companies think, well, if I could just put eyes on them every day, they're going to be productive. The truth is that they're going to be as productive as they were, if not less, because now they have to commute. Now they don't have the evening time to spend as much with doing their work. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. You have to understand the core of the business, and you have to understand the core of the team members and give them the best and highest chance to succeed. And if someone says, I want to be there 5 days a week, let them be there 5 days a week. Someone says, I want to do hybrid, or then I think, one thing that gets lost is this idea of collaborative time. Having a designated week per month where everybody must be in to collaborate seems to me like a simple solution to really ensure productivity, to put eyes on your team, to be working together, to really instill a sense of team. Just a lot of ideas that could really help.
It'll be interesting for our leadership team as we grow. We haven't talked about, do we have a shared physical space? I've not required that. I'm introverted. I personally do not require sitting next to you. I really like working with you, but it'll be interesting for us.
Use us as an example. I mean, we have trust amongst each other. We trust that the team is going to be doing what they need to do. We have really high level executives who've been through this rodeo many, many times. So there's high level of trust, there's high level of communication, there's high level of collaboration. A physical space in our circumstance is not necessary at all. Yeah, I think it just depends.
North Star. We talked a little bit in the intro about finding a North Star. What guides you and how did you figure that out?
I really evaluated what are the things that really motivate me? What are the things I really enjoy doing? I remember when we were kids in art class and you would talk about right brain and left brain, and you'd be drawing a picture, and then all of a sudden the bell would ring and you thought it was 30 seconds and it turned out to be an hour. What are the things that are going to put you in the right mindset so you feel the time passes very quickly and very enjoyably? How can you monetize that? Right? I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean, I can't sit around with crayons all day and draw pictures and expect to make a living. So how do you do that? And how do you really play to those strengths? And I saw the opportunity, and I've always tell this to people. I mean, I got to the top of the hospitality industry. You don't get to those places without really strong counselors and mentors and really great people to advise you along the way. You being one of those people, Maureen. I have a cadre. I have 5 or 6 people that I consider in my kitchen cabinet of advisors. And I spent a lot of time talking through all of these things with those people. And that's how it led me here. So a lot of thought, a lot of analytics, a lot of analysis, a lot of really trying to find that North Star within yourself to help you really understand and hone in on what's going to excite you, motivate you, and really get you out of bed in the morning.
One of the things I appreciated about you was that delicate balance of who am I and what do I value? Also getting external input because we live in our own skin and in our own blind spots and biases. And you shared as candidly as I have ever heard anyone share with your CEO group about the transition out of Red Roof. It was interesting to see how people validated. It's not just this is what I think, therefore I must be right, but this is my personal experience painted as unbiasedly as a human can do.
We all live with insecurities about everything in our lives, and having a really amazing group of executives tell you that the path you're on is the right one is exceptionally validating. And I think that's part of the decision making process, is really searching for that validation as you're really gut checking whether you're doing the right thing. And so having a bunch of folks say, you know what, this sounds like you're on the right path, sounds like you're doing what you should be doing, and focused on the right issues is exceptionally helpful. Not everybody has that, but I think that there's a ton of resources out there where people can utilize their mentors, their advisors, their good close friends to help them in these types of transitions and these types of major life and job changes.
I really appreciated that a foundation of your decisions was your family's well being. That is a foundation to your decision.
You and I actually spent a lot of time on the idea of transforming your leadership journey. You and I spent a lot of time talking about the development levels of leadership. You look at my timeline of departure from Red Roof and then most recently, my most recent company, those two decisions were really rooted in sort of growing your development level of leadership beyond that of what you're expected to be as a leader. When I left Red Roof to go to a construction company, the conventional wisdom was, what are you doing? You have a 1 in 11 job that is in the United States. There's only 11 of the same jobs. You're giving that up to go to a construction company. And what really motivated me to do that was, of course, all of the things we had just talked about and all of the mentorship, but also all of the family, and being around and being more present for my family was really a huge factor in that decision, and came to play in sort of this next decision as well. And oftentimes doing the right thing isn't what everybody is expecting you to do. Oftentimes doing the right thing isn't what the world thinks you should be doing. It's really what you should be doing, what you know is the right thing. The right thing for my family was for me to get to this point. The right thing for my leadership journey was for me to get to this point. And the right thing for, most importantly, myself was for me to get to this point. So it all sort of comes together, and it's all part of that. And you can't downplay that. Folks often struggle because they say, well, if I do this, what is everybody going to think? If that's going to lead your decisions, then you're going down the wrong path. What you really should be saying is how's it going to affect myself? How's it going to affect my family? How's it going to affect my well-being? And how's it going to affect the others around me? That's the consideration set you should have, not what everybody else is going to think. If you sit around waiting for everybody to think good things about you, then I think you'll be waiting a long time.
Or you'll be fairly internally struggling because
Yeah,
you've made decisions that aren't aligned with your values.
exactly.
You mentioned a little bit about mindsets. Which mindset do you believe is most crucial?
Where I've made mistakes in my career, where I've made mistakes in general in my life, is when I've lacked humility. So I think that's where it begins, is your professional humility and being contrite, being sorry, admitting you're wrong, admitting you don't know everything, admitting that your decision here may have been rushed or may have been brash and you need to rethink it. I think about a time where, again, at Red Roof, we're going through tons and tons of transition. We have executives leaving. We have team members that we want to keep. And I missed a promotion on one of the team members. And that team member came to me and said, boy, this person became a vice president and this person became a vice president, but what about me? I thought I was supposed to be promoted as well. And I thought for a second and said, boy, I probably could come up with something here that said, let's do the right thing. Let's talk about the truth. And I said, the truth is I just missed it. I just missed it. I won't miss it again. You're exactly right. You deserve this promotion. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me missing it. And I will put it in for consideration here very shortly. That kind of candor, that kind of humility, admitting that you made a mistake and doing the right thing and being honest with your team member is really what made all the difference. And that built trust. That built a lot of trust between that person and I. And that trust played very well for us as we continued our professional relationship. So I really think about that first. I think it starts with humility. Doing the right thing, of course, is on there, and, an unwavering commitment to the right action. Again, when you're not humble, you stumble. Oh boy, maybe I should trademark that. When you don't do the right thing, you have to worry. Those are two of the 7 that stand out the most to me. It starts with that humility within yourself to be able to say that you made a mistake. And it's hard to do. It's hard for all of us. Trust me, when I screw something up at home, and telling my wife I made a mistake feels like one of the worst things you could ever do, but you got to do it. You got to do it. And telling someone else they're right is a hard thing to do sometimes too. So, you were right. I was wrong. I messed that up. Here's why I think I messed that up. And I'm sorry. And that's part of trust, right? That's part of candor. That's part of collaboration. That's part of building a professional relationship with team members. They're going to believe that you're honest with them, even in times when it's really hard to be honest and it's really hard to be forthright.
One of the other mindsets is inspiring followership. And to me, that humility and doing the right thing feed into, I'm not going to follow someone I don't think is honest. I'm not going to follow someone who I think takes the easy path and covers up their mistakes. And we're all tempted to do that. There's a reason it's called the easy path.
It's hard. It's hard to do the right thing. It's hard to be honest with your team, especially when it puts egg on your face. But you know what, though? I mean, that comes down to culture as well. And if you have a culture of trust and you have a culture of candor and you have a culture of openness where team members aren't afraid to speak up or speak their mind because they're afraid that they may get their hands slapped or they may get disciplined or they may lose their job for just talking about where they have a problem. We're data people, right? We're data scientists, all of us, and we want data. And data is feedback from an employee who speaks up in a meeting and says, I don't like the way we're doing this. And why wouldn't you accept that data? Why wouldn't you create an environment where that data is freely given? It's the best data in the world. It's the best information you can have from your employees telling you exactly how they feel in an environment where they feel safe to do it. Why create anything else? I can't imagine doing it any other way.
Oh, there are days I can imagine doing it a completely different way. Sorry. Because it's hard sometimes to hear that you don't agree. Here we go again. Back to it's the right thing. But it does get frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. My strength as a leader was my one-on-one development of my team members. And I always sort of sat and listened the first 15 minutes. I kind of let them drive the agenda. I let them sort of tell me what's on their plate before I started hammering them about what I needed done. And if you do that, it gives you an opportunity to really figure out their mindset and what's maybe their frustrations. You can really help them through that. And then once you do that, and then you drop, hey, I need these 10 things done, you get a little bit of a better response. What do they say? Leadership or management would be easy if it weren't for the people. It's all about the people, and people are different and people have different mindsets, and what motivates one person may not motivate the other, and what works well for one may not work well for the other. Frankly, what leadership style worked well 10 years ago maybe doesn't work well today either. That's part of this professional humility, is that you're constantly looking at yourself, you're looking inward, and you're constantly saying, you know what, this worked here, but this approach may not work where I'm at today. Or this worked on this person, but this approach may not work on that person.
One of the other mindsets is authentic and reflective. And that ability to look inside and really ask the question, is this working? Did I do my best? How might I update and elevate what my best looks like? That may have been my best today, but I hope that my best tomorrow is even better. There are two skills that stand out in developing leaders and being the most effective leaders: self-awareness and that ability to reflect and refine. Because if we can't do that, we can't grow.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Maureen, but my self-awareness stems from the voice in my head that is my mother, constantly telling me that I'm not as good as I think I am, and I need to do better, right? And that little voice inside your head that says you've got to do better, and you always have to look inward because you can. Nobody's perfect. Nobody is the most important or vital thing to any business. But what you are is you can constantly improve. And you can constantly improve what you're doing, how you're approaching it. And again, just like technology changes on a daily basis, just like we're seeing with all the AI changes, so does your leadership. So does what motivates your employees and your team members. All of that is changing, if not more rapidly than technology. And so running a playbook from 2005 or 2015 doesn't do you any good anymore. You've got to understand the environment that you're in. You may have ran a successful playbook in 2025 that's not going to work in 2026. It may have worked for company A, it may not work for company B. That authentic and constant reflection of yourself, that mindset framework is so important because that's how you evolve to being successful in many different environments.
Yeah, the thing you talked about, that context switching, and you got it when you went from hospitality to construction, and you're getting it now moving into working with us. You have a different context in the law school. You've got a different context in your volunteer work and your board work in hotels for the homeless. It's an interesting idea because you are authentic to what is required of you in that situation. Not just, I'm George, I'm going to be the same for everyone, but I'm going to pull from who I am what different situations require.
That's right. I have 3 ventures going right now, and you brought up one of them, which is Common Roots, which is a social enterprise for-profit business designed in helping combat the homeless issue. What we focus on is helping place homeless people in housing in deeply affordable housing, whether that's through a hotel or whether that's an apartment, you would think, oh, George Limbert ran a major hotel company and he should be the right person to run a deeply affordable housing company. Well, that's not the case, right? I'm a member of the board. I oversee certain aspects of the company, but there's a CEO. He is an incredible expert when it comes to dealing with homeless population, and so that's part of the reflective nature of what we do as leaders. Is we understand where we can be most effective and how we can provide the best help and the highest and best use. And I think that's a little bit of a subset also of inspiring followership is you also need to know when to lead and when to follow.
That's a really good point. And you've been in enough leadership roles that you're probably happy when somebody else takes the reins on occasion.
For some reason, everybody wants me to take the minutes of every meeting. So when someone else takes the minutes, I'm happy with that. So
That's what AI is for. The AI minute takers are really quite helpful. For listeners leading who want to elevate their leadership and align with their North Stars, as you have talked about doing yourself, what's the best way to start working toward that? And if they wanted to work with you, how would that happen?
there's two types of folks, that I'm looking for, right? One of them is people that need leadership, fractional leadership, and an executive advisory executive services to help them in with their business issues. And that's easy. Go to innovativeleadership.com. G Limbert at innovativeleadership.com is the way to get a hold of me. And then, of course, if you're in that point in your career where you think helping lots of businesses and imparting the knowledge that you've gained and the wisdom that you've gained through your career, and you want to put your hat in the ring to try to be one of these advisors, I'd love to hear from you as well and talk about how that could work.
Beautiful. I am beyond delighted to have you leading this business unit. Can you share a little bit with our listeners what inspired you to join and what you are hoping to create in this new role?
Yeah, absolutely. The opportunity presented itself based on the atmosphere of what we were seeing. We are seeing a mass exodus of C suite executives who are retiring because of the grind being too much. And we're seeing a gap in seasoned veteran executives who can help companies do what they need to do to get to where they want to be. When you see that opportunity, it just made sense for me to come on board to the ILI and open the division of innovative executive solutions because we think that there's a need out there and we think we can meet that need by providing the right temporary, part-time, fractional, whatever you want to call it, executive into businesses and help them really excel. I was excited because I feel like my career path has kind of led to this moment. While I have had some pretty strong and good stints in hospitality and in construction, my time as an attorney has allowed me to see such a variety of businesses. And so the thrilling aspect of all of this is the ability to be able to help many different businesses across many different industries. So I'm really looking forward to that.
It gives the opportunity for folks who run smaller organizations like ours that can't afford you full time, but we would certainly benefit from your insights.
Yeah, no, that's the glory of what we've put together. We have an all-star group of executives who have excelled across many different industries. And my job is essentially to try to find the right fit. Whether you need a leadership level advisory services, whether you need someone sitting in the seat for a period of 6 months to help you get to that next level, whether you need technology, whether you need finance. It's so exciting the team that we've put together, the team that has come together, and the different and varied skill sets that they bring. And we're sort of like doctors, right? Or I'm sort of like a pediatrician, right? And I'm going to diagnose the problem or help diagnose the problem. And then I'm going to find the right specialist to come in and help solve that problem. So it's been pretty exciting so far. And the cast of team members that we've assembled has been really pretty impressive.
And you're running that.
I'm exceptionally excited. I'm honored to be around such incredible minds. And I can't wait for your listeners. Stay tuned because the folks that are on this list are pretty great and they're going to be incredible assets to this organization. And the future is really, really bright. I'm pretty excited to be part of it.
For our listeners, thank you for joining. Please share, follow, comment. Your input helps the algorithms make the podcast more accessible to other people.
Thank you, Maureen, for having me today. And thank you to all the listeners and have a great day.
Thank you, George.